I think we're live. Hello and welcome, heroes, to the Crit Academy. I am your host, Justin.
I'm your guest, Catherine.
I'm your guest, Zach.
And I'm your co-host, Austin.
And I'm your other co-host, Ian.
This podcast was created to provide you, our heroes, with new and reusable material for both players and DMs.
We hope to inspire you with creative content that you can bring with you on your next adventure.
Our show may not be suitable for young children, but neither is our D&D games.
We have a full party today.
Did we not just get our balls kicked in by a patron member because we always get that wrong?
Our show may not
It
be suitable
says-
for young children, but neither
So
are
what-
our D&D games.
Are our D&D games, or is our D&D game?
Do you think I'm looking not to care?
No, you're
No,
not.
I
But
mean,
I'm just I am really excited for today's episode, you guys. We have some awesome guests, Zac, Katherine from Bite Size Gaming. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Sweet.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
Oh, we are so happy. If you guys don't know, their podcast is awesome. I actually just started listening to it after they welcomed me on as a guest. Make sure you check it out. You can head on over to critacademy.com /post/episode 186, I think is this number.
186. Yes.
186.
Yes.
Or just go to there and it's right there in the blog if it's recent. So
yeah, just somewhere on there.
if you don't know, I love your guys' podcast, and I can't wait for you guys to tell everyone about it because I really there's too few that are entertaining and informative. So
Oh, thank you very much.
and I listen to a lot of podcasts, so I don't say that lightly.
So are we on
Well, thank
the...
you.
I think we're just informative. I don't think we're that funny, are we?
Funny looking, maybe.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Definitely.
They find the video of us and they're like, oh, that's why I watch these guys.
Well, that or they watch 3 seconds, like, turn off, failed charisma score. But anyways, we got a really exciting episode today. You guys have actually have a live Kickstarter called Captain Harchild's Guide to Rare Dragons.
That's right.
And I'm really
Yeah.
excited to really dig into that. You actually have a sample of it, of one of the monsters that we are going to be covering today. You can actually head on over to the Kickstarter right now and
Pretty cool.
pick up the sample and pledge a few dollars and help them bring their project to life.
Absolutely.
Sick.
Now, that being said, we also have some really great news I have to share with you guys before we move on.
Why wasn't I informed of this great news?
You have been.
Oh, I have been?
I have been.
Okay.
Everyone has.
Okay,
So-
okay.
I've had a 3D printer for a couple months now,
Oh, no, I've definitely been informed.
and I finally printed something. Yay!
About bloody
I
time.
got a baby Yoda, and I'm so excited.
Oh, God,
That's
wait.
my big
how
one.
many months
Awesome.
has it been?
It's been 2 months.
Oh, my God.
That's how busy I am.
I've been on you about that for a while now.
I know, and it's not like I didn't want to go print stuff, but I was busy. I have a lot of crap. Good.
Oh, my God.
Don't
So
break
cute.
it. Yeah, he's adorable.
And speaking of which, I expect this back next week.
What's this? A cleaning tool?
No, digital calipers.
Oh.
So you can calculate flow in E-steps.
Oh, dude, you were the man.
Oh, this is really
I'm gonna bug you after the show with this. What?
That's really cool.
Yeah, so I was super
I'm
excited.
gonna
That's
put it
big
over here.
news for me because, like, you should have seen me. Like, every few minutes, I was running in and out and checking on it, even though I know it's like takes 5.5 hours.
Yeah, it takes,
Mhm.
My wife just looked at me. Did you just go in there to check it again? I'm like, yes.
it takes like 4 years.
I
Yeah.
still laugh to this day when every time I see a post like, guys, this print's gonna take a day. Is that long? And I was like, only a day?
Right. Once you get bigger stuff, it goes pretty quick. So, anyways, we want to thank you guys for joining us today here at Crit Academy Studios, where everything's made up and your roles don't matter.
Yep, that's right. Your rules are like a dragon without a lair.
Yeah.
I mean, wait, what isn't like is it the gold dragons or something? They kind of like impose as humans.
That's silver dragons.
I think
Silver
Silver, right?
dragons.
What about him?
They don't have layers, do they?
What? Why then they're not a very good dragon? Like that's their.
No, yeah, I guess
isn't
that's
that-
kind of
You
the
guys
point.
would know, isn't that the whole dragon shtick? Is there like orders?
Oh,
I mean,
why is there
one of
silence?
them, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them anyway.
So I think that that's an important feature of a dragon, personally. Now I'm not saying the lair has to be a big thing full of gold. It could be, maybe they're a businessman. Maybe. Maybe their lair is a building and a bank or something. Who knows?
No, that's kind of cool. I
So
like that.
Shadowrun.
Is that a thing in Shadowrun?
Yeah, a dragon runs one of the megacorps in there.
Of course he does.
That's so awesome,
Interesting.
actually.
Or I still laugh at My Little Witch Academia, where the dragon's lair is just a wall of TV screens with stock prices.
See? Dragons are can have all kinds
Yeah,
of layers
I-
and
Oh my
still be
God.
cool.
Can they have?
Anyways.
Piles of gold.
Can it be like a?
I'm modernized.
Can it be like a bird where like they have like instead of like a regular nest where it's just like twigs, it's just entire trees.
It's a giant nest made out of like giant evergreen trees. That's hilarious. Anyway, sorry, we're already. As you can tell, our attention span is that of a gnat. You know.
Yeah.
So sorry to our editor who has to crop all that crap out. Anyways,
Thank you.
Sorry, Seth.
if you end up enjoying the show and you'd like to support us, head on over to critacademy.com. Check out our Patreon page. We have all kinds of best-selling DMs Guild content. Subscribe to our newsletter. Personal thank you to everyone who did back our Kickstarter for Memorable Monsters. It is funded, and we are already busting our ass. It's a holiday week, and I'm working.
Congratulations.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. I actually, if I'm not mistaken, you've actually hit your goal already as well, correct?
We have, yeah, yep.
Nice.
We're rocking and rolling.
Do you have any stretch goals?
Pretty amazing.
No, this one is stretch goalless.
Okay.
Uh,
Makes
so-
it quick and to the point, and some people like that.
No, yeah. For
That's the goal. Yep. Get a little bit of variety in there.
Oh, wonderful. So our first big topic is our first big segment is our Let's Talk About Blank segment, where we talk about whatever tickles our dice. And really it's more about what tickles my dice because I'm the one putting all the show notes together. And anybody that knows, do you guys play? Does anybody here play Magic the Gathering? Ever played?
I did, yeah, at one point.
You guys?
No,
My
no,
friend taught
no.
me to at one point. I played like one game.
Hey, you know what? That's
match.
more than some people.
I used to play Commander with a friend, so
funny.
that was
Have some fun. I personally am a huge fan of Magic the Gathering. Now, I don't have the time or money anymore to play. When it was my mom's money, I had plenty. I was just, spending it all to buy booster packs and stuff. But as an adult, spending paper that's money on fake cardboard that's not money is...
But sometimes it's shiny, and that's the reason why you get it.
Yes, that does make me tremble on the inside a little bit. But
Foils.
why
Foils
am
are
I
great.
talking about this? Anybody that has been paying attention to any of the Dungeons and Dragons content that's coming out, they've been doing a really big cross promotion for Magic the Gathering. We have Game Master's Guide to Ravnica.
Yep.
They just came out with Mythic Odyssey of Theros that we covered a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So it was only a matter of time before, what do you think happened?
Before the Forgotten Realms got a set.
To get a Magic the Gathering set.
Yeah.
Yes, so they did. They just there's been an announcement that one of the sets coming out for Magic the Gathering in 2021 is going to be Forgotten Realms. Now, why does that excite me? Because that means some amazingly beautiful art of some of the most popular NPCs in all the Forgotten Realms. Planeswalker Dritz, are you kidding me? Hell yeah! I will be fishing for a long time for that. And even if I don't ever play him, I'm going to frame him up right over here somewhere. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But
Or you just go to eBay.
eBay, they overcharge. Why would you go to eBay?
Not always.
That's how you get stuck paying $1,000 for something worth 2 cents.
Not always.
Yeah, but
You can find some
just
steals on
to
eBay,
buy
trust
honey
me.
boosters.
If you search long enough, you will find some poor guy who is putting it for like 50% of the actual price, and you'll get it.
That's usually just the mother of somebody who's just selling their stuff.
Don't count.
That doesn't matter.
Anyways, so
Can you tell who the rogue of the group is?
Yeah, right.
Anyone?
Magic the Gathering is a really fun fantasy card game. And have you guys experienced any of the D&D settings for the Magic the Gathering settings?
Yeah, the like Eberron, Ravnica, and
Well, not Eberron.
oh no, not Eberron. Sorry,
The Ravnica and
Yeah.
the...
and
Yeah.
Theros.
They've got some. They put out some free PDFs on the DMs Guild too, right? Like Zedekar and things, and I think I've got a few of them right up here. They're really interesting, really well done. Quality work.
I guess it helps that it's been around for like how long now? Just like almost 50 years.
For what?
Magic the Gathering,
Oh, I don't know. I don't think it's that old. They had cardboard 50 years ago.
probably.
Anyways.
They have cardboard.
Zach is 100% right. There has been the release of the Zendikar, the Planescape, the Egyptian theme one. I don't remember because I don't play Magic as much as I used to. Innistrad, and you can actually, if you head on over to critacademy.com and check out the blog for this episode, there is a link directly to that. Actually, I can just open it. I'm an idiot. I got the show notes right here.
Just say,
It's almost like I have those for a reason. And these were released a while ago. I think this is when they first started delving into this kind of cross idea and expanding upon it a little bit. The one thing that really interests me is I want to see where the game goes, not just from like a flavor perspective, because you're going to expect your favorite spells to be in there. Bigsby's hands,
Yeah.
Fireball, Mage Hand, all that sort of stuff in there. But the one thing that really excites me is they're adding into the card game a party mechanic. So basically, the more of an adventuring party you have, it buffs them all, and I think that's fantastic.
That's cool. Yeah.
kind of makes sense in like an actual setting too, right? Because like the more like people you have in a party, it really is just kind of harder to take them down.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying that your DM should actively be trying to kill you all, but I'm saying that it is actively harder to kill you all.
Right.
We only had 2 players die in my setting ever in this game.
Oh, okay.
my.
That's no good.
Like, on the force of this present. So we have the 2 paladins left. And that's it so far.
Would be the paladins.
Oh no.
Would you drop the streams on your video? Our
It
rate
would.
is skipping a little bit.
That should help tonight.
I'm not sure. Well, it should. It's less down upstream. Anyway, sorry. We're running into somebody just reported some technical bumping around on the screen.
Oh,
So, anyways, that's okay. That's why we're mostly a podcast and the other stuff's extra.
True.
Makes it
Yeah.
hard, though.
So
Okay.
the other thing I want to talk about real quick before we go on to our main topic is the meta themed cards. Are they going to include things that are from like you're going to get like a roll initiative card? And if so, what does it
Kinda
do?
cool,
Does
yeah.
it like grant
Yeah.
haste to somebody or something along those lines? I don't know. I'm really excited for this.
It could be cool.
More so for the artwork because I love Magic the Gathering artwork.
Could you even see like artifact weapons too?
Probably, yeah.
That'd be like cool. I mean,
I mean,
we're already
artifact
hearing
is a
about like
category.
Zarya's sword now, so I mean that could be some cool stuff in there.
That sounds good.
And like does some cool stuff. I don't know. Be great.
Get some of that magic budget for D&D art
Right.
instead of going the other way around.
Right.
It'd be amazing.
Oh, that means yeah, we would get like cool artwork of like all the big baddies and stuff. Oh,
Yeah,
be
right.
awesome.
I'm sending my wife. I'm putting my wife to task. I'm pretty sure that it's very possible that I left my Steam on, and it's very possible that it's trying to update every out-of-date game right now.
That would do
Oh
it.
no.
That would
So
1
hopefully she'll
million% do
hopefully
that.
she'll take care of that if you're watching, honey. Anyways, so I'm really excited for this. Please check this out. If you've never played Magic the Gathering and love D&D, I think this would be a great opportunity to try to jump in and give it a shot. I think it's a good. Sometimes you just can't get everyone together to play D&D. But if you each have your own Magic the Gathering D&D set, well, Don, Jim, and Sarah didn't show up, so it looks like the 3 of us are going to play some Magic D&D. At least that's what I'm planning on, or I'm hoping on, I guess. We'll see.
Nice.
We could do a one shot. But that's
yeah,
more work.
but that requires extra work, and I don't
Yeah.
like that.
You could also just play a card game and you can look at the pretty shiny cards and be like, ooh,
That's what I would want to do.
Or just play some board games.
So,
that too.
does anybody else have any additional comments on this? I feel like I'm probably more excited than everybody else.
No, I put in my
cool.
2 cents. Yeah.
It's probably going to get us a whole bunch of more players again, too, right? Like, that's a big part of this is the crossover. So
Absolutely.
I think you hit on the nail on the head, and I think that's what they were trying to do by introducing Magic settings to D&D as well. Trying
Yeah.
to pull the Magic group over.
Kind of almost like meshing the 2 groups together. It's like, hey guys, you like this stuff, but also this stuff exists, and it's
You might like
kind
it.
of the same stuff, really. It's just different settings.
Right, right.
yeah,
Love
So-
it.
yeah.
All right, that'll do it for our Let's Talk About Blank segment. But before we move on to our main topic, every episode we give away fat loots because, I'm a little dragon hoarder myself, apparently. So
Yeah, apparently. I don't know. It kind of makes sense now that you say that. All the dots are coming together. But anyway, we have a wonderful gift to give away by Loresmith, the modular dungeon tiles. Specifically, though, the Arcania set. The modular dungeon tiles are an easy way to create your own beautiful digital maps. Now, the Arcania set in specific lets you make dark, shadowy dungeon maps, rich with the fumes of arcane secrets. Now, on one hand, you might find that dragon, and you might want to run from that dragon, because dragons are scary. On the other hand, you might find the horde without the dragon, and that'd be surprising, but also, hooray,
that's a
free
trap.
loot.
That's a trap.
That's probably a trap, you're right.
That's certainly a trap.
But,
certainly.
free loot.
I do like
free in air quotes. Is,
Free for like 10 minutes before you die. Maybe.
yeah, see, that's kind of what I was going towards.
Man, did you hear? Brett found a nice big dragon's hoard with no dragon.
Wow,
Oh,
he got
yeah.
found a flame bird. This is gonna be great. Oh.
What happened? You see that big pillar of smoke? That's Brett.
Yeah. Why it gets so dark in here suddenly? That's a shadow. Oh.
Crap.
That's not good. That's not good at all.
So, who is our winner today, Zach?
Let's see. We got a guy named Scott Otto 123.
Ooh,
Congratulations! Yay!
Scott Otto!
Hoot, hoot, hoot. We used to play dope ass music, but then we started putting shit on YouTube and they copyrighted it, so now we just clap along.
That is how that goes, isn't it?
I
That
know.
works. Yeah.
Laws. Congratulations, Scott Otto123. If you enjoy the product, please check out Loresmith stuff. Leave him a review. Tell him what you like. If you didn't win, have no fear. Crit Academy's here. Head on over to critacademy.com/Loresmith and get a free set of digital terrain, some one-shots, and some other fat loots. Boom. Mic drop.
Thank you, Loresmith.
Actually, yeah, that's all
Loresmith
him. I didn't do shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I'm just here.
We're kind of just facilitating it, but thank you, Loresmith.
I'm just like, hey, do you want to help us?
Yeah.
Now on to our main topic, Captain Hartchild's Guide to Rare Dragons, and it's Harchild's, not Hartchild's, Justin. There we go. Thanks.
It is Harchild. It's
Oh.
with a T. You had it right the first time. Yeah.
Well, then I totally spelt it wrong somewhere else, probably.
Did you?
There we go. It says
Yeah.
Harchild's. Is it good in there? It's fine.
Somewhere.
Well, it looks like I got it right there. So, I am really excited. Once again, thank you guys so much for coming on, Zac and Katherine.
Yeah.
You guys run the Bite-Sized Gaming podcast. Can you tell us a little bit about each of yourselves and a little bit about your show, please?
Sure. Yeah, I'll go first. My name is Catherine. So bite-sized gaming stuff first. I, myself and Zach and Troy and John all sort of get together and, well, virtually, and we chat about a lot of the same types of stuff that you guys do, actually. We talk about what's going on in the TTRPG community, any fun things that we have found, creators or anything like that. And then we chat about DM life, basically, because all of us are also DMs that go around to different conventions, and we DM there. And that's a whole different experience, but
Right.
it's super fun.
That sounds so intimidating for me. So I don't know how. Kudos to you guys.
DM life in a nutshell. Guys, it's just a squirrel. Move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
You run for all types, and that's the fun of it.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so and then we are also just now with Captain Hartchild's Guide to Ocean Depths, and then today's topic, the Guide to Rare Dragons, we are branching into publishing.
Cool.
So that's pretty awesome. Yeah, we do most of our stuff on Facebook. That's where you can find most of our stuff, but we got a little bit of an Instagram too.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, my name's Zach. I work with Catherine and John and Troy and a whole host of other people. Yeah, we've been doing Kickstarters for a while now. We do our own, and then we help folks. If any one of you maybe backed Knights of the Shadow Realm, which got a lot of excitement last year on Kickstarter, we helped with that one and the follow-up. Player's guide to that. Worked with another fellow to do the Motherlode adventure that just came out, and we got a whole bunch of Kickstarters in the works for next year. That's kind of where we are finding our niches in the running games at cons and helping people successfully fund their RPG Kickstarters. So we do a ton of that. So
Cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
And, I'm glad to hear that. And actually, I just recently became, we just did our first Kickstarter, but I am just now realizing what a great community that is. I have never backed any project, and then I became a Kickstarter creator, and I've already backed 3 or 4 projects since I started a month ago. So,
Yeah,
and that's all.
it only goes up from there. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Don't tell my pocketbook that. I don't have a dragon's hoard. The I was just so overwhelmed with the kindness of the people and the people that reached out and supported us. Lore Smith has been an amazing supporter. I've been saying it on the show for a while. He has been on top of helping us as we needed it, and he has really showed me what a great community is the Kickstarter is, and that's just one more place for the little bit of money that my wife allows me to have goes. So.
Fair.
So as part of our show, we all play role play games. That's kind of our shtick. So one of the things we like to do when we have guests on is we like to ask them to share their most memorable D&D moment or RPG moment if it's in another game.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I know that's tough.
One most memorable moment.
It can be challenging.
I've got one, Zach.
Oh, go for it. Yeah. Go for it.
All right, cool. So this one happened fairly recently. It was at one of the conventions from last year. I believe it was Winter Fantasy. But had a group of strangers basically, and we were getting to the point where the table was kind of meshing. It was going really well. People were having a good time, and one of the things that was happening. I'm trying not to spoil the mod here, but one of the things that was happening was there were 3 different points that the characters needed to choose between to help the people there, and the idea was that they wouldn't be able to get to all of them. They had to choose a couple, but instead they sent they were a smaller party, so I had a druid NPC kind of along with them, because I am a soft DM and I don't like killing players. So, but they ended up sending her to the 3rd location all by herself, and I was like, oh, this is, she's kind of dead. So,
no real way out of that one, huh?
Right, except, again, without spoiling the mod, basically it would have taken a while for it to be final, and the players actually, they got back to their meeting point and they were like, oh no, where's Brea? And one of them actually, basically, he was a druid too, so he turned into a horse, and he like ran all the way to the 3rd location and like gained a point of exhaustion and like picked her up and ran all the way back, and it was possible that he would have died from that, and he, like, this whole party gathered around basically to save this little NPC that I threw in just as a last minute like thing to keep them safe. So it was really, really cool to see the bonding that happened unexpectedly from that, and like the lengths that they went to, even as their PC characters, that it's an AL thing. Like if they're dead, they're dead. Like at least at the lower. Well.
Yeah.
Anyway, you know what I mean.
We gotcha.
Yeah, so it was really cool to see people getting that involved in the story and the characters like that.
That's awesome. That is really cool.
Pretty cool, yeah.
I have to ask, for the exhausted, did you add that, or was that already just part of the rules? Because I feel like that usually is a mechanic that gets left out of most games.
I added that because they weren't supposed to make it to all 3 places in the same night. So
right.
Then
that makes sense.
You handled that expertly. Fantastic. What about you, Zach?
Oh my gosh, there are so many. The great thing about running at cons is that you run 40 hours of D&D every weekend.
Yeah.
And so there's a million stories that come out, but there's one that stands out. Last game of the con, everything built to this is the pinnacle of a trilogy. The players are supposed to infiltrate a bad guy super secret lair hideout and pose as new recruits. And I played up the charisma of the big bad quite a bit, and he was a charming fellow, and he had good things to say and great ideas. And about half an hour into the mod, a player, we were taking a break, and the player handed me a note, and he said, "I actually like this guy a lot. I think I want to truly convert and follow, and just kind of like follow in his footsteps." And so for the next 3 hours, that table spent making like very calculated plans, like laying traps, gaining intel, all of this, and all the while they had a mole in the ranks,
Oh, man.
and they just had a big trap for the big guy at the end. Like they brought him down. They were like going to funnel him into this narrow area, and all this, and yeah, it did not go as planned. At the end, their player turned on them, and AL is known for not allowing PvP, but we made an exception for this one, and so there was a hour-long fight with the big bad and and a PC, and oh man, the other players were gunning for him. They were so furious that he had, nixed all of their traps, gave them false information. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Jeez.
Oh, man.
Like,
I can't imagine that ended well for many people.
no, it was
Yeah.
that was a couple of years ago, and every time we go to a con with those folks and we see them again, they're like, "Yeah, that guy's a dick."
I love it.
Oh man, that's
It's
fair.
beautiful.
All right.
Do we have time for like a 2-second other one? 'Cause I have one. I want to brag about this player.
Well, if anybody that watches our shows know just how great we are at keeping time. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Never.
Fair.
Doesn't matter. It's fine.
Long story short, there was a big bad who was on the back of a flying creature, but they didn't have any fly spells prepared, and we had a bard, and the bard dimension doored up onto the dragon and just kicked the big bad off. And eliminated.
I like how you both look
pretty
straight
much
at me.
I
'Cause
understand
the dragon,
this.
yeah.
Huh.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, well, the flying creature was in the notes that the flying creature, if the big bad dies, they don't really care too much about what's going on. They're just gonna leave. So I was like, oh, okay, good job, guys. Like,
I'm
It
actually
was-
curious.
it was
Is
so funny.
Is you two looking at me for the time where I once banished a dragon as Ryder fell to the ground, or where I punched the wizard in the dick so hard he fell up a 300-foot tower?
No, so she's talking about the flying battle, and this bastard just banished my dragon, so the bastard fell out of the sky and died. So, and that's the first thing that I just thought of, and I'm just like,
I only look towards Ian because I know the shenanigans this man has been up to, and I'm just like, no,
So
this sounds right up his alley.
so I totally understand. A moment like that just becomes something you don't forget because you don't expect it. Which
I would
we
never-
should know better as dungeon masters.
No, you shouldn't.
Like they always prepared for the unexpected.
Like a clipboard.
The clipboard was the clipboard literally saved our lives. Okay,
They bypassed. They walked basically into a dwarven forge full of monsters, and he made one appear with prestidigitation and was an inspector and just started
surprise inspectors.
inspecting
Oh my
the
gosh.
forge. So everyone just let him walk right through. I'm just like,
Yeah, and
Surprise inspection!
the son of the guy was like, "Hey, we don't know any surprise inspectors here." He's like,
That's why I'm a surprise inspector!
And then he banished him.
He banished the one guy that
And then-
actually succeeded on ignoring his bullshit bluff deception.
Yeah, so-
Anyway, so
everyone else looked around. They were like, "What? So are we on break, or is it? Can we go?" We're like, "Yeah, you guys are fine."
That's awesome.
But
Anyways.
anyway, kind of keep ourselves back on track, I guess. Do you have any moment where you think you failed as a player or a DM? I know
what'd you
that's
learn
also kind
from
of a
it?
tough one. Because I failed a
Well,
lot.
I'll tell the tragic story of my first time as a player. This is just me being super ignorant, but it's super memorable as well. Which is I played a halfling summoner, and little me had no idea. We went up against a rock, the big kind, the big bird kind.
oh, not
And-
the Dwayne kind. Gotcha.
Yeah, and I had no idea what I was doing, and I put myself out in the middle of everything, and got picked up by the rock and carried off.
Oh.
The rest of the party chased after it for 20 minutes. It finally dropped me, and I died. And that was that was
Oh,
my first intro
no.
to D&D.
Oh man,
So,
Oh.
that's rough.
Oh man, that's rough.
it was beautiful.
Hashtag that's rough, buddy.
That's
Yeah.
sometimes that just happens though.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What about you, Catherine?
Yeah, so I think the one that I would probably cite at this point, I run a quote unquote 24/7 chat-based D&D Discord server,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very, very complex sometimes to try to figure out exactly how to translate some of the dynamics that would occur, like if everybody was sitting at a table. And we just got done with like a major combat, and I was trying to describe an epic moment where an NPC just sort of like raced in, and it's an intro to a larger arc. So she basically was running in and doing something dynamic that would tie the players directly into a larger arc for the world.
Okay.
That sounds cool.
And thanks. And I described it all. I was like, oh yeah, that sounds epic, and also a little bit sad. This NPC is one of the PC's moms, so saying.
That'll do it.
Yeah. But then afterwards, everybody was like, oh, that was so cool. But then like they started asking questions, and I was like, oh, nobody really quite understood what was actually going on. It's like, like now I have to go back and like rehash everything
no.
so that my players. Yeah. And I'm like, oh man, I wish I could have worded it. I presented it the first time and had it have like the full impact, but
Right.
oh well.
Get one shot.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's hard.
That's the rough
hard.
reality
Yeah.
of D&D though, is a lot of it is it's pretty hard to kind of go back from. You can't really like redact a lot of the stuff that happens in D&D because
You can say it does, but everyone knows it didn't.
kind of like it's because if you like change one thing, it's like, well, why didn't you change this other thing before? And then it kind of just spirals down really fast.
Especially if you've got people who are jealous and think you're doing favoritism.
That too.
That's happened to me
Ooh,
once.
that's a slippery slope right
where
there.
I made a bad decision and I decided after the end of the night, I'm like, that was stupid. Why did you do that? That was dumb. You shouldn't have done that. So the next game, I undid that, and man, did I get it from another player. Well, when this happened to me, you didn't do that. I'm like, ugh. You know what I learned?
Oh no.
If I make a mistake, tough. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
You're shit out of luck now. Oh, he died from that decision. Well, I'm not going to redact it because this other guy would have died too, and so would he have, and I'm just not going to deal with it.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the things that makes this game so interesting is that no matter how much prep we do, we are going to make mistakes. Players and GMs and DMs alike. You can tell I've been writing OpenGL because I used to never say GM. Now I'm trying to ingrain it in my soul. But we create these moments where we make mistakes and we learn from them. And because of that, we're always continuing to improve our games at our tables for our friends, family, random people at cons.
Yeah.
And I think it always does it requires you to make those mistakes in order to improve, because if you know everything.
Yeah.
I don't believe you if you said you know everything in D&D. I won't believe you at all. I'll be like, no, there's so much content out there.
Tell me what is on the third
Right.
page of the player's handbook, fourth line, third indented word.
Ooh.
Oh, I
Nope.
thought you knew everything, asshole. Anyways,
I
getting a bit of a
I
rant.
can't do that.
For our next question, what can you tell us about Captain Hartchild's Guide to Rare Dragons, and how did it come to life?
Woo.
Yeah, so actually Zach's wife had a little bit to do with that. Zach, why don't you go ahead and let everybody
Sure.
know about?
So our first product was called Captain Hartchild's Guide to Oceanic Depths, and it was really meant to be a standalone product. We didn't have any intentions of making a series or anything like that, but it got really well received, and people really seemed to like it. And so there was a discussion of like, well, what would we do next?
Right.
And my wife Megan was like, "You guys should do a book of dragons. Everybody likes dragons." And
It's true.
Yeah.
yeah, and I was like, "Oh, that'd be interesting." And the interesting thing about dragons is that they can be as contained or as expansive of a topic as you want them to be.
For sure.
And so that fit really much into our philosophy for what we wanted the next product to be, which was Oceanic Depths was a $25 book, which is on the low end of a book, but still the high end of what the average person pays for D&D product at a given time. And so what we really wanted our next product to be was something that was accessible to everybody, and that we could, maybe get some of our ideas into the hands of whoever and whatever budget. And so a guide to rare dragons, and coming up with the concept of let's create some interesting dragons, some named dragons, some dragons with some history and some backstories and some lair and horde and everything. And we can make this contained enough to where we can keep the price point low enough that anybody could get it. So that's kind of how it came to be. We recruited 8 authors, and so we put together 10 dragons from those 8 people. Each one very, very different. We commissioned an artist to draw us 8 or 10 dragons, whatever he wanted to draw. Like, no guidelines, just draw us 10 pieces of cool dragon art. And then I'm just going to hand those out to the writers and say, write a dragon about this. Tell us about this fellow.
That's awesome.
That was really cool. Yeah, Zach just sent. There was a day where he was like, "Hey, the art's in. Here you go. Pick your dragon." Basically, and we got to look at all this cool art and be like, "Ooh, this particular one really inspires me," and that was a really fun way to like decide what to write about.
That is the exact approach that we use for Memorable Monsters.
Oh,
because
awesome.
art
Yeah.
can be
Sweet.
so inspiring.
We've definitely come up with some weird stuff.
And now this
I'm still
this
trying to
toad
finish
dragon
some
makes
weird
sense now
stuff.
too. By the way, like
Oh yeah.
I would have never thought of that. A dragon toad. So that is just really cool.
I just thought he was just a fat dragon.
No, it's a toad.
Yeah. It
Um,
looks cool though. Yeah.
Can I comment on the art? I love
Oh,
the
yeah.
old sketch style art piece. I
Mhm.
think that is fantastic. It's unique and it stands out. Because everyone tries to get these ones that are super high in detail and all
Almost, like,
that.
hyper
but
realistic.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
having the old school sketch throws me back, and maybe that's because I'm old. But it
No.
throws me
Yes.
back to the.
Surely not.
I mean, I work at Barnes Noble, so like I don't oftentimes see like this stuff. Most because whenever we do get art books, it's usually that kind
Why
of.
are you
like,
touching Yoda?
Because it's
Don't-
right there. I'm
don't-
moving it.
Don't
I'm
touch Yoda. What
fiddling
did
with
Baby
stuff while
Yoda
I'm
do to
talking.
you?
Nothing.
He did the hand thing.
Yeah, he did the hand thing. But not very often do I actually get to see the fantasy with like the actual like almost sketch art style,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
It's really interesting. There's a silly story behind that. We actually went to several different artists trying to get somebody to do the art for Oceanic originally, because we wanted a sketch style there as well. And people don't want to do it. We went to several bigger named artists, and we said, look, we have an idea for what this book is, and Captain Hartchild has returned with a sketch notebook, kind of like Lewis and Clarky, like they're and there are several people that were like, no, won't do a sketch, and so we finally found Daniel, and I'm like, dude, your stuff's awesome.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, we don't want finished pieces. We don't want you to go in and erase all your like first attempts at a line where you weren't super happy with it.
Right.
We want all that left in. And he's like, yeah, I'll do that, and it's perfect. So
The other thing that I really like about this is one of my old D&D books was all about like dragon lore, and it had sketches just like this, as if there's a scholar observing these and writing them down, and that's really what I thought about this. And you
bring up a very valuable point actually, because like a lot of people don't live to see dragons, right? I mean, that's kind of
Yeah.
the thing. So the fact that someone may have just seen it, right, and they just sketch it down from memory as fast as they can, there probably isn't going to be a finished piece about it because
It's gonna
they
kill me.
can't
It's gonna kill me.
remember
It's
it.
gonna kill me. It's gonna kill me. And he's
Yeah.
just drawing
Yeah.
as fast as he can.
And so I do kind of, that makes more sense to have this approach to even begin with, I think. So it's kind of cool.
It'd be hilarious if one of the pages of the drawings had bird marks around the corner because it ran away from the dragon.
Little like lightning scratches and burns and stuff. Frozen ice. Anyways, the cover piece really got my attention because I just realized this dragon. He's holding this in his hand. He's holding a person. I didn't realize it was a person.
yes.
I thought he was like a snooty noble that just got his fingers done. And he's doing like blood on his fingers.
He's definitely that too. We call that the regal boy in our writing circles. He's definitely a bit hoity-toity.
Yeah, so there's lots of really good stuff in here. You actually have a sample out that anybody that goes to your Kickstarter can pick up and download and check out.
Pretty cool.
You want to tell us a little bit about Holofix? Am I
yeah.
saying that
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Because I love this toad dragon guy.
Yeah. Holofex is one of my boys. He's our lowest CR creature. He's CR 8, and
I like that.
when we got the art in, at first I was like, "This is not what I was expecting." When you're commissioning an artist to draw 10 dragons, and he sends you a toad with wings, and you're like, "What is this?" But
He reminds me of the Budweiser frog.
exactly, man, right? But he's kind of got an attitude. He's got those sunken eyes and just kind of this. He's almost Jabba the Hutt, right? Like there's
Yes,
definitely a
that's
Jabba
good.
reference in there, right? And I'm like, yeah, let's go this Jabba angle where like this guy is a big deal in his own world, but his own world is
His own
real
world.
small, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So yeah, he resides over a swamp that just so happens to be to have some. Oh, it's kind of in like a sunken area created by a volcano,
Okay.
and so it has some loot at the bottom of it, and he sends his animal minions down there and his swamp minions down there to kick around and find what they can and bring it back up. He's got a lot of different influences in him because frogs and toads in general are just such fun, weird characters to play with. And I wanted that to come across in his abilities. So like he's got a tongue attack where he can shoot out with his tongue. And if he hits you, he can pull you 40 feet back in towards him. So this is great to be like, oh, the wizard in the back got a little bit too close. And by a little bit too close, it's 40 feet. And, pulls him in. And then he's big enough. He's a big, beefy boy. And again, like Jabba, I'm like, yeah, he needs to be able to eat people that he brings into his mouth. So he's got to swallow. And then...
Of course, yeah.
The other thing that I really like there's two other little tiny abilities that I like. He has a bile breath,
Yes,
which
I love this.
just this idea of like being coated in slime is a great image for players. And so I just took basically the conditions for the slow ability, and I'm like, yeah, you're coated in mucus, grossness, you move a little
Whatever
slow.
he ate for lunch.
Yeah, exactly. There's probably like
What's cool about this is you got it where it actually, this ability, as cool as it is, it comes into its own when combined with the lair action. Dude,
Yeah.
that was some genius design, man.
Yeah,
Genius.
there's some fun stuff there. Yeah. Yeah, in the lair actions, the slime can turn into a gray ooze
I just love it.
and then start attacking. And it's already attached to you. It's already right there. So it's beautiful.
So does that count as a surprise attack?
It could be. It
Probably.
depends on how the fight's going. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I would
no,
say that's
it-
up to like DM.
You're almost dead.
discretion, right?
Sorry. The stuff
Like-
that's attached to you now is coming to life.
Because like,
Yeah.
but I can see arguments for both because on one hand, one person's gonna be like hyper attentive to him, and be like, no, this is extra bad. Something's wrong here.
Starts
I mean, it's
moving.
already
Yeah.
bad, but if this is bad, this is worse. And then there's gonna be another person who's like, this is whatever. It's just slime, and then it's like, why is the slime moving my arm?
Yeah.
I still to this day
Yeah.
laugh at how I used the great ooze to our advantage that one game.
Oh, when you were fighting the doll?
Yes.
I had a little doll crawling up on their arm, like imagine like Chucky, but like really tiny. So it's like scampering up their body, and so he's just like, I can't get it off me. So he just jumped into an ooze, and so it
Awesome.
just did damage to kill the thing. I'm just like, because it didn't have very many hit points, but it was scurrying around, so it was
strength.
hard to hit. So he's just like, eh. So yeah, so that was how did you come up with that as a part of a lair action instead of just part of the mechanic? Because that's something that honestly I haven't seen before, and I am totally stealing that design concept. Because the closest thing I've done is if I've given a monster that has can afford to do 3 hits, I'll get rid of one of the hits and then add it as like a legendary action later, but I've never thought to include the features like that into a lair action, which I think is just very genius.
Yeah, I mean, I won't take any credit. I read a ton of different products, and probably one of them had it in there. But I just like the idea of multi-stage fights and encounters,
Yeah.
and so that's what I'm always looking for, especially in your big bosses. Is how do I make this fight memorable? How do I make it to where it's not just I run up to you, you hit me, I hit you, you hit me, I hit you, fight's over. And a great way to shake things up is with a monster, another creature. And the other thing that I really like about this guy, which is just so much fun, and also I love anytime I can shove Futurama into anything, is he's got a hypnotic gaze.
I did
Um,
like the hypnotic gaze. I was reading that. I was
Yeah.
like, could you just imagine this like weird like frog dragon? And he just looks at you and goes,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, no, stop, please, have mercy on
Yeah.
me.
That's really
Yeah.
cool. Now, when you use the hypnotic gaze, it stuns him. So then he could leap
Yeah.
right on you. He could eat you. You're pretty much boned.
Also,
Yeah, that's the thing that frustrates me with a lot of monster design, is that they don't think about why would this creature how does this feature complement another feature, complement another feature.
it's usually something
And
standalone. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So like, why would he have this? Well, it's probably if you think about like in nature and things like that, hypnotic, that like the cobra swaying or whatever, right? Like it serves a purpose. Um, and I'm like, yeah, it's gonna let him get up close and snatch that morsel
That's
when he otherwise couldn't.
honestly really smart. We should actually like incorporate that idea for like a DM tip or something, where it's like, why would this monster have this? Well, it's because he had to survive to get to this point, right? Like evolution made him this way.
I
That's
like
really
that.
smart.
That's something
like,
to look into. Why don't you
Yeah.
add that to our brainstorm notes, and I'll write something up for it, because that is really cool. I love design. As I've becoming more, because every episode we deliver monster variants, so I've
Yeah.
been doing
That's
more
why I was
and
like,
more
we
and
gotta-
more, monsters, and it's always fun to try to come up with new and unique ways to make them interesting. And sometimes I
I
fail.
really still like
Sometimes I
that
succeed, though.
that like ice night you did that one time. That was so
Yeah,
cool.
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
dope. It was pretty dope.
That was a really good one.
So the last thing I really want to touch on here is we mentioned the personality and stuff, but there's actually a segment on here that is details like the history of the dragon from this one talks about back to him being the only specimen of his kind, which makes him unique, right? So as a DM, huh?
I was just talking.
Oh.
I took care of it.
I can
Oh, you take care of it?
I can imagine using this as a tool as a DM to explain why people are seeking him out. Hey, a scholar be like, so I've heard that there's a dragon that's unique in the bowels of this deadly swamp, and I'm hiring you heroes not to go kill it, not to go capture it, research it, learn stuff about it. Maybe talk to it and ask it how it's doing, how it got there, why is it the only one we've ever seen. To me, that sets that history sets a great quest hook that isn't just about the dragon steamrolling everybody in
Yeah.
existence.
Yeah,
Right.
Now this
exactly.
is a swamp dragon
You-
from the dark woods. Be careful of his breath. It's quite vicious.
Crikey!
Part of what was so fun about this particular take on dragons, like making them unique as part of the product, was that we could have that individual history and make the dragons each like a full iconic being,
Mm-hmm.
rather than just like a certain color of dragon
Yep.
who is attacks things or
Right.
yeah.
Monsters
Exactly, that's-
are more
that's
than
in
just
our-
stat blocks.
Exactly. That's one of the things. If you go to our Kickstarter, I think like second paragraph down, we talk about smog, because in my opinion, the stories that we all grew up on, at least that I grew up on, the fantasy stories, when a dragon was introduced, he wasn't a green dragon or he wasn't a red dragon. He had a name. He had a personality. There was a reason to hate him or whatever. Um, and that's how I think people really want dragons to be in their games.
Yeah.
The monster manual, if there's one fallacy that it has with dragons, it's that there's a section where it's just basically like, they're really intelligent lizards. That's really what they are. And I'm like, I strongly disagree. They are a creature unto their own. And there should be an expression of that anytime you write about them. So that's what we tried to do. So yeah, you mentioned the description and the history and the motivation, the potential minions, the horde, the lair. Every single one of the dragons in the book has all of those things. We tried very hard to make sure that we didn't overwrite or underwrite on any of this, but that we conveyed just enough information for the DM to get inspired and to have a bit to chew on if he was in the moment, but we didn't want to overburden you by saying, here is 5 pages of lore on each of these creatures.
I remember it all.
Exactly. Justin, when you were on our podcast, we talked a little bit about it, but I'm gonna give a nod to Jeff Stevens on this one as well, because his work with his Villains and Lairs series is very inspirational to us. We have our own take on it. It's definitely different, but he set the tone for what a really useful supplement should look like.
Yes.
So that's what we're trying to do here.
We'll actually be having him on next month.
Oh,
I'm
awesome.
excited.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, jeez.
He'll be coming on again. So he's one of my favorite guests to have on because he always
company.
is just amazing company. He's got great
Yeah.
stories to tell. I don't know if that's from aged experience of him being older, or just because he plays a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, or because he writes a lot, or some sort of combination of all of it. But every time he comes on, he always has me cracking up the whole time. So
I'll be watching this later and be like, oh, you guys.
maybe I'll see if Seth will cut out all this amazing, or not cut out, but snip out the section of us praising Jeff. Jeff, you're amazing. You're a beautiful man. I want to know that I appreciate everything you do. So if you decide you just want to send me a free copy of your next big project, and there it is. Anyways,
That's the man I know now. There it is.
overall, I absolutely love this, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to invite you guys on the show, because products like this, Wizards of the Coast, don't get me wrong, they do phenomenal work.
For sure.
But there are so many amazing third-party content creators that are just as imaginative. There's also some that are not so imaginative, and their stuff is garbage. But aside from the few that are like that, there's a majority of people who take the time to put this stuff together, such as yourselves, do a phenomenal job. And the layout is great. I like once again, I'm getting kind of old school. I like the old school vibe that I'm getting from this. A lot of the stuff, especially from like DM's Guild, starts to look the same. And you've got a unique look, and I really like that too. So
Appreciate it. Yeah, one of the things I'm just really happy with. I would say that this is the product that I'm most happy with so far of ours, and that's as it should be. But we tried very, very hard to allow each one of the writers to keep their own voice.
yeah.
So not only does it look unique, but even within the book, each piece is going to sound unique. So don't expect, if you read Whole Effects and you're like, oh, I want 10 more of these or 9 more of these, not going to happen, sir.
Right.
It is, each one is going to be a new weird idea that came out of somebody's brain, and it's going to have their way with words and their lingo tied into it. And I think that gives each dragon its own unique language as well. So that's a big deal for us.
Which, again, with kind of what you went back before, I do like that a lot, actually, just because dragons are meant to be these, entirely different personalities from each other, too. Because they're really just like the apex beings that are immortal in D&D. They're kind of just like, yes, we are at the top of the food chain. Do not stop us.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Like that's kind of what they are.
I'm a big gamer when I have time, and in Final Fantasy 14 they have a whole a whole expansion dedicated to like a dragon war basically. And
Hmm.
when I see something like that, I feel like that I have been really shirking my duties as a DM to not include these fantastic magical creatures in my games more often. At the very least, you're level 2, you're walking down the street, and a blue and blue and red on opposite sides. I don't remember the chromatic bullshit, but
Yeah.
two dragons soar overhead, shooting lightning and fire out of their maws at each other, crashing into a mountain, causing an avalanche that starts to destroy a village.
Yeah,
So the
the
adventurers
village
have to
gets
go
a
help
mess.
that because of some random ass dragons that are duking it out up in the sky. You know what I mean?
Some territorial conflict
Uh-huh.
going on. You're like, I don't really want to be a part of that, but I do have to be a part of the village that is a part of that.
Yeah, so now I got to go help these people because those assholes are fighting over a dirt pile, you know, which is usually what it is.
I mean,
Um,
like even within the realm of D&D itself, even the game creators have done quite a bit with just dragons in general. But it is nice to see other creators just come up with something that's more imaginative
Yeah.
as time goes by, because there's a lot you can do with these creatures.
And that's one thing that I've talked about memorable monsters and villains and lairs and products, similar to this, is that these are not only just monsters to be used, but they're plot devices, they're hooks, they're story elements that you can tie. You could easily have the players in level 1 warning of the swamp giant toad monster that lives in the swamp to 10 miles east. And
Yep.
that can become a core. You in here, just like the monster manual, you have regional effects. Maybe that's just normal in that area, and the players decide, I'm tired of this. What is it? The flies and shit in this one. It's flies and buzzing insects that are found in great supply. So maybe they're just tired of getting bit by mosquitoes. They're like, we're gonna go put an end to this. And turns out it's a dragon. They're just like, well, shit, never mind. And just have to turn around and go the other way.
New plan.
They just
Flies are fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can
They
live with
just-
flies.
People just start leaving down like signs like "Do not enter giant swamp toad dragon," and all the adventurers go by. They're like, "What the fuck?
Right?
This has to be real, right? Like, they weren't like paranoid. They were just seeing things. This isn't like an enchanted swamp, right, guys? Like, come on."
Giant toads don't exist like that. Not like city size.
And then they walk up and they're like, "Oh, nope, that's real. That's okay."
And he's pissed because we just shit in his swamp.
The
Get out of my swamp.
whole sign thing made me think of Disenchantment, where there's a sign something for us that beware of racist deer.
What?
Exactly.
But that's the
It's
idea.
just the
yeah.
sign in the background.
Yeah. And to be fair, you do randomly see a deer go by and go, that ain't right. We looked at the main group.
Huh.
So they did pay off.
Anyway, overall, I think this product is really great. I think we're gonna. I've got one more question. I think we want to ask you
Yes, we
before
do.
we move on.
Sure, yeah.
Obviously, there's multiple dragons that we have in this document. Which ones are your favorite?
So I'm biased.
I think she
Humans.
wrote this.
Humans are.
I on a couple different levels because Zach. So we all are part of Bite Size Gaming, but Zach has kind of been the head of this project, and so we haven't necessarily seen some of the other options.
That's fair.
Yeah, so there's that, but also I greatly love everything nature magic-y. And so I wrote up a druid dragon, and I love her, and she's fantastic. Just trying to keep my answer real short here, because I'm sure Zach has thoughts on all of them. Or
I didn't
between
even-
all of them.
The concept didn't even come to mind.
I love my trees.
It's like, oh no. Don't piss off the dragon that loves her trees.
There's the beautiful ancient grove to the north. It's surrounded in a little alcove. That's not an alcove.
Don't
that's
make a fire in
That's
there.
a coiled dragon.
Do not touch this garden.
Yeah,
It's not cursed, it's just guarded.
yeah. I love all of them. But we talked about whole effects. He's the lowest one. Catherine's dragon is kind of mid-tier CR wise, and we have a new dragon god, CR 30, that one of our other gals wrote, and it's awesome. Without getting into anything much,
Right.
I love she developed the idea of a neutral dragon god, who is the god of the lost, and kind of sits in the veil of the space in between the planes, and keeps an eye on things.
Okay.
Really interesting breath weapon that does like different type. It's like a random sort of a thing. So this is a dragon that can spew a whole bunch of different types of effects and fire and things, and you can pick your own or you could randomize it. But anyhow, she did a great job, and a new dragon god I think is hard to conceive of in a way that is doesn't feel redundant to some of the other dragon gods that we've seen, and it's really special. I love that one, and I think that also opens up some avenues for like clerics and paladins and stuff that might want to claim this as their deity. So
That'd be
I like
cool.
really
that.
excited for that option too. So
Yeah. When you started talking about all these different things this dragon spews out, I'm just like, is it all coming out of the same orifice?
Assumingly.
Well, that's not what I thought. I just like I immediately thought like she's got a breath weapon and then she plugs one nostril and has a snot rocket and
yeah, exactly.
turns around like a skunk and lifts up her tail and who knows.
All right.
There is a lot. Yeah.
All right, I think that'll do it for our main topic today. I am
Yeah.
super excited about this. I'm glad you guys have already got funded. I can't wait.
Thank you.
Can't wait to have this product out there, and we'll be able to when you do get it made, let us know, and we can go back and add a link to it in these show notes.
Heck yeah.
So,
Heck yeah.
I'm gonna rely on you to remind me because I'm not gonna remember that.
That's fair. That's fair.
That'll do it for our main topic today, Captain Hartchild's Guide to Rare Dragons. Once again, head on over to critacademy.com /post/episode 186. You can get our show notes that have a link directly to the product, or go right to Kickstarter and type in Captain Hartchild's Guide to Rare Dragons, and you will find it. Pick up your sample copy, and please consider pledging and helping support this product. So,
Thank you.
did I miss anything? I think I got it all.
I think so. I think you got it all.
All right. We know it's your favorite episode. It's certainly my favorite segment, not episode segment. Our
It could be your favorite episode too.
I was gonna say,
All
it
right.
could be the favorite.
Yeah,
episode.
Yeah. Not gonna downplay that. It's
Why not?
an awesome favorite episode. Before we move on to our unearthed tips and tricks, we have another gift to give away. Compliments of our boy Jeff Stevens.
Ooh, yeah.
He does come up with quite a bit.
Every
Alright.
episode, actually.
Okay, Seth, put that part where we talked about Jeff Stevens and put it right here about how much we loved him.
A masked menace terrifies their region, raiding villages to fund her devious plan. Unknowingly, the adventurers stumble upon her most recent evil scheme, the kidnapping of a famous performer known as Devon Artis. Their mission is to deliver a ransom and collect Devon, though, as in most cases with D&D, not all goes as planned.
We can all attest to that, right?
I always just want to say, every single time he reads this, I always think, that means there is one universe where everything did somehow go as planned.
Yeah, but we lost that already because that happened in Avengers.
No, I guess you're right. You got me there.
One.
There's just one. Zach, Catherine, would you like to tell us who our winner is today?
Oh, sure. Oh dear. The winner for today, I do not know if I will pronounce this correctly, but Potaniak.
Works
That's
for me.
better than anything I would have came up with.
Potaniak. Yeah, good job.
Congratulations. Congratulations, whoever you are. If you enjoyed
Botaniac.
If you enjoy the adventure,
Yes.
please consider leaving a review. If you don't know, leaving a review on a product is single-handedly one of the best things you can do aside from purchasing the product. I would even say that it's more important because then it lets other potential supporters hear what you think about it, as
Right.
well as gives them an opportunity to improve it by giving constructive criticism back. I know that I have made several errors in my publishing, and if it wasn't for some very kind reviews, I wouldn't have been able to make some improvements in some of those areas. Our gun mage is one example of that. So definitely consider leaving a review and helping out Jeff make his products better. By the way, if you haven't played this series, it will knock your socks off. If no matter how you think it's going to end, it's not going to end like that, and it's great. You should check them out.
Good job, Jeff.
And for all of you that didn't win, sorry. But don't worry, we still have you covered. Head on over to critacademy.com/Jeff Stevens and get Villains and Lairs 3 for free and Encounters on the Savage Seas 3 for free.
It's a lot of
Compliments to
threes
Jeff.
for free.
Yeah, that's how we roll around here. Not really. I'm pretty sure Jeff gives those away free all the time anyway, but it's a nice short little list there. So check them out.
Yeah.
Now, this is where we insert the really dope-ass music intro to Honor Tips and Tricks, Seth. Good job. So, today's, for our
to it.
Unearthed Tips and Tricks, we will bring you new and creative content for you to bring with you on your next adventure. I'm really excited about this. Would one of you like to tell us about our character concept here? You can either read it or shorten it up a little bit. It's up to you, paraphrase. Either one?
Sure.
Phrasing
Yeah.
time.
Absolutely.
Sorry,
I'll read
I
it for you
think
here.
I think I caught you with your pants down there. My bad. I mean, I hope your pants
No,
are
you're
down, but you
good.
know what I mean.
All right, here we go. I'm the fly in the proverbial ointment, I suppose, but I've never been much for proverbs. They're just rules that happen to rhyme sometimes. Your tie to the mysterious and fey places in the world are particularly strong. You've always been a mischievous sort, a troublemaker, and the person who upsets the apple cart just to see how far the apples will roll. What sort of troubles has your mischief resulted in? Are there partners in crime in your past? And what's your relationship with them like? How does someone inclined to mischief make a living? Under what circumstances can you overcome your natural instinct and toe the line?
So this is really cool. This is called the Eldritch Harlequin. Now,
Okay.
I'm going to be honest. I did not write this. I was looking for new format ideas and totally stole this from an old 4th edition book I have. I love this format, and I wanted your guys' opinion on it. We'll talk about that more in detail later. But
Sure.
what do you guys think about this character concept?
Well, it's in
Crickets. It must suck, huh? Sorry. I didn't write it. Blame Watsy.
Well, mostly I got caught first. I'm still thinking about the quote. I enjoy. I always like when there's little bits of like what goes on in the character's head or the NPC's head or whoever. So that's a really. I think that's a really. I guess maybe that's a format thing. That's a really good way to like have something succinctly shown rather than like a few paragraphs
Yep.
about their motivation and stuff. But yeah, I mysterious and fey places. Love that stuff. Love that shit. And
fair.
this, yeah, it's I see this as someone who's just I mean, in it for the lulz, but like to the extreme.
This is a troll.
It's like
There's
A D&D troller.
Yeah.
it's almost like it's like in those those like science fiction like characters who is like the scientist who's like always doing it for science, but it's literally anything for science. It's just that's what this reminds me of. He's like, oh, why did you do that? He's like, for science. I had to know what would happen. It's like you couldn't just think about it. No, I had to know.
The closest I can think of was when we played in Brandon's game, My Sorcerer. When two NPCs were clearly about to start a bar brawl, I used Mage Hand to tie the shoelaces of one of the guys together.
Pissed them off. Yes, that's so. That.
Wonderful.
Yes, I
That's
love it.
awesome.
And now, what's cool about this is you notice it doesn't really specifically say a class or a race. I think
Right.
we get so hung up on classes and races and the way they're supposed to behave.
Almost like the mechanics of the game. Well, no, because you're not even talking about like the mechanics. You're talking just like how the flavor of the
Yeah,
class is
like
to be
you
played.
play you play an assassin, a mechanic assassin, right? You're expected to act a certain way. Like
I
an
gotta
assassin.
be edgy and hide in the shadows.
Yeah,
I
but you
gotta
don't.
impersonate this
How
person.
awesome would it be to have an assassin who just loves to troll people all day long? Like
He just likes to dress up. He just likes to
So
go out and be like, "Hi, I'm not this person."
See, now I just would have to be an arcane trickster with that invisible mage hand just to knock over glasses of wine on the stuffy
look at it
noble's outfit.
I would love it because then you can look at it and be like, "Oh my god!" And then everyone's just looking and they're like, "What happened?" It's like there must be a ghost here. The wine glass just fell. Oh god, another one fell
And
over.
we're all losing it. This is a new dress. Well,
I
anyways.
have in my server. I have a warlock with an archfey patron, and this sounds exactly like her.
Oh,
Mhm.
wonderful.
This would be perfect for her too.
Oh, or when my warlock made apples just like bacon.
It's a little weird, man, but I'm about it.
Dude, that would be a dick thing to do with prestidigitation. If you get pissed off or get some beef with somebody, just constantly change the flavor of their food. Oh my gosh, that sounds hilarious. I'll have
Amazing.
some of your delicious, delectable, juicy pork. This pork tastes like shit! Because it is! Oh my gosh.
Why does this steak taste like spam?
Did you ever watch Little Nicky when he uses his ultimate devil powers to change the contents of a Coke can? And the guy drinks it, he's like, this Coke tastes like Pepsi!
Nice,
Oh my
nice.
gosh,
Oh
I
my
am
lord.
so I need to play this now. I love this.
You are definitely the troublemaker styled character.
What is that supposed to mean?
I like how you're not denying it.
I mean, see,
I do-
you would think I'm the rogue player, and you think I'm the troublemaker. No, I'm the guy who gets us from point A to point B,
Usually with a grappling hook.
usually with a grappling hook.
I trip them along the way. Anyways, I did want to touch on real quick. You pointed out the quote. That is the one thing that I really want to take away from this, because that was what caught me. And I think little things like that, we need more of that. I did notice when I was going back through some documents that there are some times where Wizards of the Coast includes little one-liners from the NPCs, but they don't do it all the time. And I really think they should.
It's almost like the flavor text on like a rare card. You
Yes!
see, like it's like about the character a little bit. That's how I always
I
figure
like
it.
that. That's really good. That's really good. I like that.
Nice.
All right, I think we got more out of that with all the dead silence at the beginning. I was like, shit, nobody likes this idea. I'm glad I didn't write it.
Like, oh man.
That'll do it for our
Just had to
character.
think for a second.
Right.
Yeah,
That's the story of my life.
the cogs had to turn a little bit.
Mine are jammed and locked up most of the time.
Gets
Some
that
shit
hamster
in
running
it.
on its wheel.
That'll do it for our character concept, the Eldritch Harlequin. Our monster variant of the podcast is the Nightshade. Is this one I had
Sounds
you right? Or
cool.
no, I don't think you wrote this one. I
No.
think this was
Sounds cool. What is it?
regurgitated from another book, I think.
fair
One of the
enough.
4th edition ones, I think.
I mean,
I don't remember. Nightshades are creatures of pure hate and darkness. They spread death and suffering wherever they go. Now we're getting too edgy. Go from happy, go
Hey, that's
lucky,
me.
tripping to
I'm
edgy.
the edgy. There we go.
While
Okay,
often
I'm about
found
it.
in the deepest corners of the Shadowfell, they are sometimes able to walk the material world by passing through where the planes meet and the barrier that separates them is weakest, such as an unhallowed night or the location where great evil has been done. So in order to make this monster variant, you are going to start with the stat block of the black dragon, the young black dragon. You are going to remove its blind sight, its amphibious, its swim, its bite, its claws, and its acid breath. Hey, that's pretty much everything that makes up a dragon. Imagine that. It's almost like we're changing it. Who'd have guessed? The new features you're going to give it is you're going to give it vulnerability to radiant damage. You're going to give it resistances to acid, cold, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical weapons, immunities to necrotic and poison, condition immunities, frightened, and poisoned. Now, this is where it starts to get interesting. So we're going to we got rid of the claw and the bite and everything. We're going to give it a new ability. We're going to give it life drain. It's going to do a little necrotic damage with a constitution save that reduces your maximum hit points. Tell me, what happens when you get hit many times by an attack that drains your maximum hit points?
If it goes to 0, you're dead forever.
Oh, shit. Better stay away from that. Justin ain't fucking around today.
Don't die.
So you got the life drain, which goes in with the multi-attack, as you know. I think the young black dragon does. I might have 2, maybe 3 attacks. So
Something like that, yeah.
that DC isn't very high, but when you're being attacked 3 times, it's going to be kind of a pain in the ass. Now on to the cool, the fun, unique stuff, right? We're going to give them Void Gaze that recharges on a 5 or 6. The Nightshade releases an intense glare at a creature it can see within 150 feet. The target must succeed a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw or take 49 or 11d8 necrotic damage and become frightened until the end of the Nightshade's next turn. While frightened in this way, the creature is also restrained. If the target if a target's saving throw is successful, the target is immune to the effects for 24 hours. So now
Just Sharingan this guy.
I did.
Like literally.
Now, as Zach pointed out earlier, how making abilities that fit really well together. Well, now you can't run away from his life drain ability. And when you start to get low, that is terrifying as a player.
I mean, it's already terrifying anyway, but you know.
If he has 3 attacks and you're restrained, it has advantage on all that. There's a pretty high chance that you're going to be just like the paladin. You're going to be there fishing for crits every round.
Yeah.
On a max HP drain is going to feel awful.
Yeah.
Now,
You are going to die.
it is worth noting that I made the DC for the Constitution save much lower than the recommended DC for that level.
It's only like a DC 10, which is.
And I think that's
pretty low.
pretty generous.
Yeah.
Aren't I benevolent? You're welcome, people. And of course, it wouldn't be great. I experimented with a new mechanic. One thing that I really think doesn't get enough attention is weaknesses and strengths. If a player actively engages a weakness of the enemy, I feel like there should be a reaction. So you know what I did? I wrote one. So Fear the Pain. Do you remember what its weakness was?
Is it radiant damage?
It is radiant damage.
Yeah.
So, when this creature takes radiant damage, it can use its reaction to use its Void Gaze. If it isn't recharged, the Nightshade recharges it. Oh, it's you pissed it off.
Yeah.
You done goofed.
It's like a mini rage moment. He's like, no, that's bad.
So now, obviously, I really struggled with this because I ended up rolling a d20 odd or even, whether it was an effect that would benefit the player or not so much benefit him. So it ended up falling where instead of giving him some other bonus, he retaliates because, I envision in all those movies you watch, when you hit a vampire with it's garlic, it goes and lashes out, and that's kind of what I ended up going for.
It's almost like that quick adrenaline rush
Yeah.
from all like the pain and everything it's suffering. It's like, nope, I have to make it stop. Whatever it's doing, make it stop. And then you're right there. It's like, I'm gonna make you stop.
Now, it is a reaction, so he only gets to use it once per round, and that's assuming that it's recharged, and then if not, he can roll to recharge it, making it more effective. What do you guys think about this monster variant?
I really like it.
I like it a lot.
I would run with this. Yeah. I mean, my style as a DM is to make things worse, not better. So I like that we went with a negative effect on the fear of pain. Like, listen, if you figured out its weakness, I want to make sure that you don't end this thing quickly. So we're gonna make you reconsider using radiant damage every single round.
I like that. I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
What do you think, Catherine?
Yeah, I always gravitate more toward the lore side of things first, and I really liked that one of the ways that it could cross through is if if a deeply evil deed had been done in that's place. I love the what people do on the material plane has consequences. I would probably bring one of these in if any of the players did something.
Like a paladin broke oath or something.
Or,
Yeah.
That's
or
a
a
pretty
murder
big...
hobo killed somebody.
Yeah,
like a-
finally, just
Yeah.
like Nightshade just crawls out of its chest. It's like,
Dude, I
the
just
player's
totally...
like, no.
It reminds me of those hollows from Bleach, where the little rift opens up and this thing just kind of pushes its way through, and it turns out it's because that bastard assassin douche rogue just killed somebody for no reason. Not saying
I
you would do that,
was gonna
but-
say, I actually don't do that.
But
Surprisingly.
that's really interesting. I hadn't considered that. Them being the result of bad stuff happening from bad stuff that they did.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often in D&D, I feel like sometimes.
What if it happens after they leave? Like they do a douchey thing.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh,
then
yeah.
it comes
Yeah.
Takes
through.
like a day.
And then it attacks a bunch of other innocent people.
And then a
Oh,
group
that's
of paladins hunts down the people who are responsible for desecrating an area that summoned forth a nightmare that ended up wiping out a village.
Quick question.
Y'all done fucked up.
Yep.
Because that's a great evil, does that mean another one could possibly spawn? I don't
whoa,
see
whoa,
why
whoa!
not.
Don't start layering
Just
that shit on top of me.
No,
It's just like
I'm
it's
just
a pile, a snowball effect.
Yeah, but that's like the point, right? It's just this being that's just like no one wants to get near it, and I'm like, could you imagine if there was two? I don't want to fight two. It's hard enough fighting one.
I wonder if. Do you think they would fight each other for dominance or something, or do you think they
That
would
would
just
be
focus on fighting
cool.
other?
Or they combine them to form a bigger one.
With your powers
With our
combined.
powers combined.
It's just like a Megazord. They like stack on top of each other.
Oh my gosh.
It's a Giga
also
Nightshade.
happens in Bleach. Don't the
Yeah,
hollows
it-
combine and make like
some
a
of them,
Karen car or
some of
something?
them can, can't they? No, because they're
I
supposed
watch
to be
too
like
much anime, man.
they're like the personification of somebody, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so they
don't-
can't.
The closest I can think of was like the three that threw their arms together to form a bigger monster.
Anyways, overall, so this is a really
Can
cool.
it still fly?
Did
this
I get
fly?
rid of it? No, so yes.
Oh my god, this thing could soar around the sky. Ah!
Come in like a wrecking ball.
I'd hate being a paladin. I'd be like, I gotta hit this thing, but also it's gonna grab me, drain the life out of me, and drop me 120 feet
Can
in the
you
air.
imagine, going back to what we were talking about, if the players do something bad at a low level, and as a result summon this thing, so now they have to work to overcome the evil that they created.
Nice.
Or run from it.
Well, that's more likely what would happen. But anyways, like
Run from it and then come back later or something.
yeah,
They just
after
they
it's
all,
killed
yeah.
everybody.
they
But,
they
yeah.
all hit the gym. They're all like just buff and stuff. They're like,
We wouldn't work down after we summoned you here. We're gonna take care of business.
and there's already like 15 of them. You're like,
Oh, that's
maybe
funny.
not, maybe not.
All right, is there any more comments on this?
I still love the void gaze. I think that's just really cool.
Yeah, I don't know.
Good
Remember,
touch.
I think I reflavored an existing mechanic, but honestly, I don't remember which one.
It's cool. What?
It might be frightened. No, it's not frightened. It's not frightening presence. I think it's anyway. It doesn't matter. I love to reflavor existing mechanics because I'm not a master balancer, so I just steal stuff that already exists and like mesh it together. Anyways, that'll do it for our monster variant, the Nightshade. Also, I'm listening to Aragon, so that was part of the inspiration for this.
Ooh, yeah, yeah.
Stupid shades, damn near impossible to beat. Well, I made one too. So our encounter of the podcast has caused nothing to fear, and you guys wrote this.
Heck yeah, absolutely.
Would you like to tell us about it?
Oh, I would love to. Yeah, I'll just read it for you guys. How about that?
Sure.
All right, so nothing to fear. Nothing to fear. While the party is doing a bit of travel through a hazardous forest, they come across the bones of a colossal creature that has become the framework for an ivy-covered structure inhabited by forest gnomes. If the party approaches, a gnome named Buck invites them to take shelter within their stronghold. A successful DC 16 Wisdom Insight check suggests that the warmth that each of the gnomes are projecting is surface level only and hides a deep fear. The gnomes tell a true story, or they can tell a true story, of being refugees that were hounded by wild beasts before stumbling into the glade and collapsing from exhaustion. When they awoke, the bones had arisen around them, and no wild creature would approach.
Lying
They have been
bastards.
safe within the glade ever since. The true reality of this place is more sinister. A collection of mean mocks spawned from the fear of the gnomes and their lair twisted the earth underneath the glade and shoved these bones to the surface. Those that stay in the glade overnight must make a DC 11 wisdom saving throw or be overcome by a fearful trance that draws them into the tunnels and the mean mock lair that lies within. Wild beasts can smell an unnatural aura of dread and keep their distance. The gnomes are willfully ignorant and verbally insist that all is well. Secretly, they hope that the newcomers will satisfy whatever entity is providing protection with one hand and with the other demanding the infrequent sacrifice. Those that enter the lair find that the tunnels shift and work to separate the group before depositing each creature into a central chamber to confront their deepest fears and the dark fae that project them.
Huh.
Yes.
Pretty good. I like that.
This was fantastic.
Nice job, Zach.
I love this.
I like the separation.
I ask a lot of people to bring little unearthed tips and tricks with us, and this is bar none one of my favorites.
Thank you.
I love this idea. I love that the little lying... Nobody expects a little gnome. They're so cute and adorable. But these sinister little bastards are hiding a dark secret, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh yeah, everything's totally fine, guys.
Isn't it weird how you occasionally like read a scenario, then you think about how a character from a series would react to it?
Does that happen to you often?
Like I just like briefly thought like the part where you face your fear, like Escanor from Seven Deadly Sins. But what am I afraid of? Everything's weaker than me.
Says every paladin, too.
Okay,
Honest.
but supposed to be real here. That would be Escanor in a
Right,
nutshell.
right. I actually I'm only on like the third episode of that. I have to get through that. I thought this
Fun
was...
fact.
Go ahead.
Fun fact. Zach ran some mean locks for us in a campaign that I'm playing of his, and it was probably, we've come up against some scary stuff, but that was probably the most, because nobody knew what the hell was going on until halfway through fighting the things. Like it was so good. He pulled like one of the characters away from the rest of us, and we thought she was like dead. It was really interesting.
The layers of mean locks are nuts. They are undervalued by a long shot in Bolo's guide, because the layers of the mean lock and mean locks themselves manifest from fear. They like appear where there's terror, and the lair is alive just like the mean locks are alive, and so it shifts and manipulates to isolate creatures. And so like my party's smart, so they had a rope tied with each person tied to the rope, and they're like going into these tunnels, and they're going to find out what's going on. Well, their first guy goes in and goes around a corner, and when they go to follow, the tunnel dead ends there, and the rope just disappears into the wall, and they have to they're trying to dig through to follow the rope, and then they have to go down and,
that's totally a jumper moment. Did you ever see that?
Yeah.
Where they go through and just the line is right through the wall. Oh my gosh, that would be terrifying as a player.
Yeah. It was really fun.
Done.
Yeah.
I think that's very clever use. I think that's a great way to also try to force a lot of out of the box thinking, or out of the layer thinking, I guess. I don't know. But because, I mean, what do you do in that? Did he get melded? I mean, if you've never encountered this, you don't know. Did he just get melded to the wall? Is he still there? Is he alive? Is he gone? Is he still attached to the line? You don't know. You can't talk to him unless you've come up with some sort of way to communicate telepathically or some other means of communication, and that can be terrifying. Dude, that is well thought out and a very cool thing. And now I think I have a new monster I wanna play with.
Man, they are the best. They're so good.
All right. No.
Okay.
That's
thank you
some
for
wild
bringing
stuff.
it. Yeah, I love this encounter. I think you did a great job. Thank you so much
Hey,
for
thank
bringing
you.
it.
Appreciate it.
I love, also kudos for following my format, which is not really my format. It's a WotC format, but I appreciate that.
I really
means I don't have to rewrite it to make it fit that format.
I didn't know too much about the mean locks, so I'm glad you kind of went a little more in depth with them. But I can just imagine, like, as a player, because I'm normally a player, he's usually just the DM, but I kind of just I would imagine, like, because anytime I hear like an encounter, I always imagine, okay, now how would one of my characters go through this? And I'm just thinking, like, well, Raven's kind of boned. He's just gonna be like, I'll just ninja my way through this. It's fine. I'll just jump
Nothing
over
to grapple
everything."
hook to.
Yeah, there's nothing to grapple hook, but don't worry, I could just outrun everything. Zorax, on the other hand, is just gonna be like, well, my friend just went through the wall. He's dead. I don't know. All right, let's just move.
Moving on. It's kind of
Stand there like tugging the rope.
Yeah, he's like, hey, buddy, you over there?
Nope.
Buddy?
Okay,
Comrade?
time to replace him.
All right, well, we're down to 3.
I can see this being kind of. I'm jumping to like an ant farm, and something like that, and then the mean locks are redirecting and changing a labyrinth around the characters, and that just sounds awesome.
I just thought about the ideas of how many ants are actually in like an ant farm, and then I'm like, oh god, is that how many mean locks there are? Because I don't want to deal with that many.
Oh, and because it's in the ground, and because it's in the ground, you can do so much. Like, when you walk in and the rope is going through the ceiling or down through the floor.
Yep.
I'm just like, that's.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yep.
I would rather never. I would be like, nah, can we take one of the gnomes and just like kick him in there first? I just want to make sure like I'm not gonna.
Are you suggesting gnome hunting?
Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
I know that's a Goliath favorite in the.
Now it's about to be a Zorax favorite because it's about to be a good sport.
In the peaks, we love gnome hunting. All right, I think that'll do it for our encounter of the podcast. Nothing to Fear by Bite Sized Gaming.
That was really good. I like that one.
Ian, would you like to tell us about our magic item?
I want to do the magic item.
Fine, you can do the magic
You can
item.
do the magic
always
item.
do the magic item.
Fine. You can have the DM tip, I promise.
Okay.
Did you want the magic item?
You can do it.
Yay! The magic item today is the Bracers of Infinite Blades. It's a wondrous item, and it's rare. I love Infinite Blades.
It was hard not to put Infinite Blade Works on there.
Right?
Uh, these gold inlaid armbands are best known as a favorite among assassins who prefer to keep their distance from their foes, instead using their bracers to conjure daggers that vanish shortly after their use, leaving no evidence of the deed. How
Dun, dun,
handy!
dun.
I would love that. I don't have that.
This is a real simple one compared to what I
Yeah,
normally put together.
yeah. I was like, this is surprisingly not crazy. As a bonus action or part of the attack action, with a flick of your wrist, you can conjure up to 2 magical daggers +1 into an empty hand. The daggers are transparent blue and are visibly magical.
Nice.
The daggers last as long as you hold them. When released, they disappear seconds after hitting a target. As an action, you can cast Cloud of Daggers spell from the bracers. The property cannot be used again until the next dawn. Wow, this really is just a very simple magic item for once. I'm not used to that.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I overcomplicate things.
No, it's not that. I'm not complaining. I'm just surprised.
I needed it for something, so I made it.
Fair enough. No, that's
The way to do it.
Once again, inspired by you guys may not know, but I'm a big fan of 4E, so I get use out of my 4E books. So I'm just like,
fair.
oh, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, there's no way I can use those mechanics, but I like this idea, so let's go with it.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about this?
Nice.
This reminds me of like any. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I love this. It's very elegantly deadly.
I love that term, elegantly deadly.
I just like. Are they just like little like arm? Yeah, they're literally just like gold armbands.
Yeah,
I can
they
just. I just
you
wear
hold
them.
up and they just like think Ezio from Assassin's Creed,
Ezio
but instead of coming
Auditore.
out of little gadgets and not flying out, they just I don't know.
That's
Some
cool.
weird
Still
like
have to
Final
be
Fantasy
super-
stuff, like from
You
Final
still have
Fantasy.
to be super stealthy. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're
Kind
fine.
of.
You still have to be like super stealthy. Like it still takes some skill to use this thing, especially since they're glowing blue.
Yeah, I guess that's
But-
kind of a good point.
The only evidence of his work is there was a flash of glowing blue light. You can
Yeah,
be
which
known
could
as
be
the
so
blue
many different
blur.
things. So yes,
I always like
this is
titles.
solid.
I really like this, and I was listening to your episode, the Armaments of Legacy episode, this morning, and so I was thinking about that as I was reading this. I'm like, if you wanted to have like a higher level version of this as it gains, you could do a blade barrier spell castable at even higher level, right? And just keep that
Keep the theme.
feel.
Theme, yeah.
Yeah. So
What is that? What
That'd
is
be
that? That cantrip in the sword burst would be
sword
great
burst,
for this.
yeah,
Call it
sword burst
ja-
would be great too. Yeah,
Just like because I think in 4E they came up like out of the ground, but in this one I think it describes like I'm flying around you, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I love that. So increasing the theme by adding even as simple as adding blade ward, blade barrier.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
The sword burst thing, kind of keeping that thing. Some good
There you
ideas.
go.
Good people.
Clearly, I could have made this better. but I needed something that was feasible, wasn't going to break my games for now.
For now, apparently.
Any other comments on this?
I just think it's freaking awesome.
You're welcome.
Could I just throw one of the bands at somebody?
You would think to do that, wouldn't you? Like,
Yeah. Could I?
you're wearing these magic
Could
bands
I-
and you forget their magic, so you just throw the band at the enemy.
What if?
It's a grenade.
Hold on.
Blades.
Dude, you throw it and it casts the
I was gonna
the,
say, what if it like casts while I throw it?
like,
Right?
cloud of daggers is just like
it's just.
it's like a swooping cloud of daggers now. Why you gotta
Oh,
be breaking shit, man? Come on now.
Because that's my job. I'm a rogue player.
You suck.
That's my literal duty as a rogue player.
You said duty.
I did.
I promise, I am an adult sometimes.
I'm not an adult.
All right, this is a pretty simple one, straightforward, but it's great for those people who want to play the dagger throwing character, but doesn't want to have to constantly chase their daggers.
Oh god, I threw my dagger into a wall. Well, where is it? Oh, it's about 12 feet in the air. I can't jump that.
Give me an athletics check. I have a 0. Then you're not getting your
Cool.
daggers back. All right, that'll
Good
do
times.
it for our magic item, the Braces of Infinite Blades.
Yeah.
All right. Our next topic, our DM tip for today: categorize your cults.
Oh my god, yes.
That's right. Cultists roam the lands, following whatever monstrosity aligns with their beliefs, or they can easily be persuaded to follow. In any case, it can easily seem that all cultists are the same. Nothing really distinguishes them except for who they follow. Now, more than Kanan's Tome of Foes, we are giving some good examples and a nice layout to give them some distinguishing qualities that make each one stand out. As you...
Yes, I don't know how I missed this the first time I read through it. Like, this is awesome. Why don't you tell me more, big boy?
Well, first off, we have, for example, here the cult of Balzabu, I guess.
Sounds about
That's
right, I don't
close as I would have got.
Some sort of like an eldritch being of some kind, I guess, with a name like that.
It's a demon, I think. A big demon, actually. A
Good.
big
Devil,
demon.
thank
Devil.
you.
Sorry, is it a devil?
I don't know. Probably.
Anybody know? Is it a demon or a devil? I think it's a devil, now that I think about
I
it.
think it is a devil.
I think it's an archdevil in the Nine Hells.
All right. Now, the goals of this cult is the restoration of honor and respect at the cost of those who stole it.
Oh, fuckers.
So maybe it's not a devil.
Could be a demon? I don't know. Now I gotta Google
Well,
it. Keep
because
going.
like
I'm
it
gonna
says like
Google it now.
restoration of honor and respect, and it's like, but.
But at the cost of those who took it, which means you're out for blood. It's about revenge.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Now, the typical cultist is any NPC or monster that has suffered a fall from grace.
Lord of the Nine Hells.
It's a slug.
He looks like a slug. But yes, it's a Lord of the Nine Hells.
Oh, jeez.
And the signature spells of these cultists are the Minor Illusion Cantrip, Disguise Self,
Oh boy.
Phantasmal Force,
Uh-oh.
and Major Image.
Everyone's like, oh yeah, these are fun little spells. Oh, Phantasmal Force, let's not.
Yeah.
I love that spell.
It's a good one.
Balzabull typically recruits individuals rather than cults. He offers hope to those whose failure drive them to seek redemption. He may grant a boon. His path trait allows the Aether cultist to look good in the aftermath of an ally's failure.
Hey man, that sounds like devilry to me.
And, as a bonus action, this creature can also choose one ally it can see within 30 feet of it. Until the start of this creature's next turn, it gains advantage on all ability checks and attack rolls, while the ally suffers disadvantage on all ability
He
checks,
sucked
attack rolls,
away
and
his
saving throws.
skills.
Oh, so rude.
What a douche.
They backstab each other.
This reminds me of like a feature like Dynamo would have, or is it Dynamo from the Luck Chick? From
Oh, Domino.
Domino. What did I say? Dominoes.
Dynamo.
Dynamo. That's
Domino. Right? She sucks away other people's luck and gives it to herself.
I thought you were just plain lucky.
Oh, maybe I guess I don't know. You know that's got to be coming from somewhere.
So how would you rule this? So let's say that there are 8 cultists in a room, and the first one does it to number 2. The second one activates it on his turn for number 3. The third one activates it for number 4, all the way down the list. Is the only one of them have disadvantage at the end of it, and everybody got advantage?
No, I think they cancel out technically.
Yeah, I think it would be like
I
they
think
would
that
be
needs to
like
be normal.
They cross out, right?
I think that's the
Except for
normal
the one
ruling
guy
for
at the
Yeah.
first one because he never went
Yeah,
after the one guy.
first, yeah. Just ruin everyone by that. That would be
Now,
awesome.
alternatively,
Now, Raw, anytime you have disadvantage, but you have at least one instance of advantage or vice versa, they cancel out.
right.
A lot of
Yeah.
people house roll the opposite, where if you have more disadvantage than the advantage things, and you go with disadvantage. That's a frequent house rule, but,
But that's not how it's supposed to work.
no.
what if? Now we have 8 cultists. Now, what if cultist number 1 gets targeted by the other 7 cultists? Does he just have so much
Oh,
degenerate like
yeah.
luck
Real,
and
real
abilities
bad
that
luck.
he's just like tripping over like a pebble or something, or is he just like? Because like obviously you gotta show it, right? And then all the other guys have, well, maybe they have advantage. It's just
I
they've all
don't
kind of
know.
shared
You-
the luck there, but
I don't know. That guy is poor. I mean, every cult's gonna have that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
Fall
just
guy.
a sacrifice for the
Yeah.
beatbox.
yeah, is he gonna just like fall over and like die or something?
Anyway, the big reason why I picked this is because there are the stat blocks, the cultist stat block, the fanatic.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
just a cultist stat
Whatever.
block, yeah.
There's a couple different stat blocks for this sort of thing, but if you just use them as is, they're always the same. Always the
Yeah.
same. They don't change. But sometimes, as DMs, we have the power. Let's change this to fit the theme. We have a way to make them feel like they're part of something. This, while none of these may directly correlate to a particular cult that they're following, you could use this as a template to say, okay, all of my Cult of the Dragon people are going to get resistance to fire because they're following Tiamat or something. I don't know. I can't think of anything. But they're going to have access to this spell as a unique feature of following Tiamat. They're gonna have you know, those sorts of things makes that unique. It catches players by surprise, and it creates a following theme. The Path of the Basil Bow thing is a unique mechanic that only those cultists have. And that makes them feel more of cultists than just a person running around with a dagger poking people. Because that's honestly, that's kind of how I feel when I run those. There's nothing really special about them. So often I have to use a different stat block and then just call it a cultist, which is there's nothing wrong with that. But by making them all, no matter their level, have these same kind of signature abilities, it keeps that theme and constant reminder of, oh, that person can do that because they're worshiping this bastard. You know, and to me that can easily make my games more thematic and more memorable and better. What do you guys think about that?
I really like. Yes. I like in particular that their signature ability ties in very closely to each other, because then that highlights the whole like premise of a cult in general. You know, people isolated from everybody else and like super glued together, kind of, and like operating in the same manner. So I appreciate that the mechanic reflected that aspect of it as well.
And I always look for the bits that are gonna screw my players. And I'm looking at a typical cultist, and it says any NPC or monster that has suffered a fall from grace. So my immediate thought is like, okay, what's a monster that would really benefit from advantage? And let's make that our cultist, right? Because you can just automatically get advantage on every single round. So I mean, but those are the fun things, right? Because now I'm thinking about like what monster would make a good cultist. I probably wouldn't have been thinking about it in that frame if the mechanics weren't there. So you're probably going to see some weird stuff because your mechanics kind of steer the thought process in a certain direction. So
I would agree with that. I think that's a signature of good design, good game design, or development, where you're constantly feeding off of the previous decision you made or the inspiration for it, which once again keeps it all thematic and in line with it, with the goal you're trying to achieve. So.
Ooh, we just ran through Lost Laboratory of Koalish. I don't know if you ran through that mod, but it has a bone devil at the end that has close your eyes or your ears if you don't want spoilers. But the bone devil has claws made from shards of a vorpal sword.
That is the most dope ass thing I have ever heard.
Yeah, right.
It's pretty terrifying.
Yeah, and so he decapitates you if he crits, and he has 3 attacks every round.
Oh my gosh!
So if you gave him advantage from this, he would, it make perfect sense for him to be a cultist in this way. So that would be awesome.
All be headless, just
a
the whole
week too late. Yeah, we were on a week too late. That's what happened here.
I love it. That's fantastic.
My only input that I was really going to put in here was, what if you just did this on the flip side? What if there was, like, not necessarily like a cult, but like a group of like worshippers who were like worshipping like
Isn't that a cult?
Yes, but like,
like
the
small,
non-evil
like,
cults.
Oh, okay.
Like we're talking like a bunch of
like a
priests
temple
and
priest
stuff.
or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like they have like other like little benefits too. So like maybe instead of like the signature spells, but like they have like the path of, I'm trying to think of any good god literally ever.
Well, maybe. Okay. How about Bahamut? Right?
Bahamut, sure, yeah.
Platinum Dragon. Maybe somebody that follows the path of Bahamut always has access to bless.
Yeah.
But it's not a spell or a cantrip. It's just something that they can do.
Yeah.
So you can make it the path of Bahamut, and they can cast bless. Something along
And
those
they can-
lines.
They can flip that ability around so that a character can intentionally give itself disadvantage to grant an ally advantage,
I like that a lot.
which would be pretty cool. Yeah.
That's
So,
very cool.
Nice.
So they weaken themselves by and assist their that's dope.
See, and I like that idea and your idea, because that means you could have an NPC who travels with the group who was part of like the group of Bahamut, let's say, and then maybe one of the players is like really in trouble, and you're starting to notice that maybe I've been a little too hard on this guy. And so you have this NPC give him, advantage for a turn. You know what I mean? And that could really help out the player.
That's really cool because I'm not super fan personally of like DMPCs, but if you had a DMPC that was all about something like this, where they had a path from Bahamut that buffed the other players and made them better, I'd be all on board.
Yeah,
on
it's just
that.
like a little support character. It's like, oh shit, maybe that boulder that I threw at them was a little too big.
Or you have an NPC party member that is the Path of Basil, and when the party gets a little bit too cocky, he starts stepping up and
See?
putting them at disadvantage.
He's a mole.
There
they
are
are-
two types of
He's
DMs.
the mole.
Dude, that's cool because you could describe the effect to the characters, but not tell them anything about it. Like they just and certain times they start to feel their energy being sapped. They'd be chasing that
Yeah.
shit forever. Like what the hell is happening? The guy who was responsible was like, I don't know, I felt it too.
I'd be
Exactly,
like
exactly.
Which is not
insight
a lie.
check immediately. Be like, all right, motherfucker, there's something wrong with you. How are we all feeling it? But you seem to be relatively okay compared to me.
We got beads of sweat running down our face, and he's glowing.
Yeah, he's just like, oh, his hair's in the wind and stuff. And he's-
I don't have enough hair to do what you just did, but you get it. I think that'll do it for our Dungeon Master tip. Categorize your cults.
we got so much out of that.
Oh yeah.
Our player tip of the podcast is
Don't be a dick.
and you can avoid dickitude by working on skills of avoidance. Now, I'm going to be honest. This, at first, I thought seemed like a really dull and boring tip
Until it wasn't.
until I realized that I've been through 5 or 6 games where somebody could have did this and they didn't. So, acrobatics and athletics are crucial skills for melee combatants, particularly those who rely on mobility. While some prefer to stand their ground and, kind of do that, nearly all... I see your hand going up. Nearly all melee need to reach their enemy first. Now, there's certain mechanics that some classes have that help with that. I can think of the monk and the barbarian right off the top of my head. The rogue that can, dash as a bonus action, all that stuff. But everyone knows that you can use athletics and acrobatics to jump over a pit, parkour up a wall. But players often forget about this, that they can use these same things to clear hazardous terrain instead of just running through it, which has happened in 3 games that I've played in the last 4 months. Not our games, I don't think.
I was gonna say I can't
I
recall
don't
any
think that's in
situation
our
where
games.
I'm like
But I was a player.
ever able to like run through something without reliably getting murdered.
Well, you can jump over
I
it.
mean,
You
I'm in
ever try to
Avernus,
jump
so I
over
mean,
it?
I'm
Where
always
everything's burning, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, likewise, it not just difficult terrain or hazardous terrains, but everyone waits for the rogue to disable a trap. Did you try jumping over it?
Okay.
That's always an option.
Okay, but that time that was a magically locked door, and my idea of punching through the wall to get past the door and unlock it from there was not a solid idea because that wall was made of steel. So, admittedly, we had to disarm the lock.
You do. But that's not always the case.
Speaking of Futurama,
That was like an hour ago.
I know. Okay, guys, I get us out here by bending the door. You can't bend doors. You know that. I know that. But that door looks pretty stupid. Bends the door.
I do remember that. That was a good one.
Anyways, if you know you can reliably hit a low acrobatics or athletics check, or have just a really good, decent strength score, you can easily clear it up to 10 feet without little or no effort. And one thing I've learned, tiles, tripwires, spike traps, all those things are pretty easy to leap over, but the only person that ever remembers that is the person that can fly. So, now I'm not saying that this is some break in, the best player tip ever, but the more I play, the more I realize players forget these are options and automatically either just run through stuff, or try to find another way around, or especially the barbarian, they're just but they'll always just charge in, but they never say, well, I'm going to charge and jump over I'm just going to run right through the spikes. Spike growth is a great example of that, by the way. You can jump right over that in most cases. Not every case, though, because it's pretty big, but you get what I'm saying. Now, I mean, have you guys encountered this? It sounds like Zach's got smart as hell players, so I'm sure that they constantly are thinking of this.
No.
Sigh.
Listen, I don't do.
Suddenly problem solved.
No, you were saying spike growth, and I was having flashbacks to. I ran a lot of Eberron, and I had a Titan that spent like 5 rounds just trying and failing to move through spike growth by their druid over and over and over again. And it just, oh man, I was so frustrated by the end. I'm like, yeah, me as the DM needs to remember the skills of avoidance more often. Yeah, so
You know, and it's like I said, it's one of those things that you wouldn't think about unless it's pointed out to you that this is an option, and it occurs to you that some people just don't do it for whatever reason. And I'm just as guilty with my monsters, which is probably part of the reason why this really hit me at home, I guess. But I noticed it goes both ways. Don't forget about that, as simple as it is. Also, I'm playing a game called The Crown of the Kings. I can't remember the name of the game, but
I
it's
hope
a
it's
demo.
that exact title.
Right. It's in demo right now, but it's based on 5th edition. And one of the core things is jumping. Like, you jump over everything. Half the time, the shit you jump to collapses, but you jump a lot.
The more I think about it, in video games, you're always constantly trying to jump shit.
Yeah, but
Why am I not
D&D.
doing it in D&D?
And I can think of examples I've had where that's been an opportunity, but just
Sovereignty,
done.
Crown of Kings.
yes, that's the one. Wait, no, that's not it. I lied. It's
I kind
Celestis.
of run into the
Sorry, go ahead.
I kind of run into the opposite problem. Oh, it's okay. One in particular, but of my players likes to Assassin's Creed it.
I love it.
So my players usually remember because he's always like trying to scale buildings and stuff.
Yep,
And I think that's a direct result from playing games like Assassin's Creed or Ninja Gaiden, like where that's
Probably
the
so.
norm. But man, I think those guys are the exception. I mean, at least in what I can think of. But that means I also need
Does
to
that
use more
mean
terrains.
I'm the exception?
Well, you have a fucking grappling hook, so you don't have to jump over anything. You just
I've
you
done
just
it a few
Batman swing
times.
over everything. But anyways, this was one of those things that
I make a skill check every time. Do not make it think it's free. Hold on. Before they start thinking like, wow, you must be really easy. No.
Oh, he always has to roll for his grapple hook bullshit. But you do really well, though. But anyways,
power
I've
of the
never
character, it
seen.
ain't me.
I've said it before on the show. I've never seen anybody get use out of a grappling hook as much as this bastard.
Nice.
He's used it offensively, defensively, utility-wise. It's just crazy.
I've grabbed a guy out of a giant's hand with it. It wasn't easy. I was inside a cave and I was doing like one of these.
You
with
were
it.
fishing for men.
Yeah.
You should name yourself Jesus. Jesus. Anyway.
Well, one thing I definitely want to take into account with the buoyants too is like they have a set distance when it comes to jumping already baked into the rules anyway. And there's been that few times where like I've had like a DM in some games go, I need you to roll this check to make this jump. But it's 10 feet. I can make that jump anyway. Why
Yeah.
make me roll for it?
And that is why I specifically included the decent strength score, because your
Yeah.
jump is based on your strength score. If you've got like a 13, I think you can jump 13 feet with a 10-foot start.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're right. That's important to remember too. Some of those situations you may not even need to make a check.
And then you can understand, I'm like, why make me roll a check? I don't need to roll a check.
Though I will be honest, I am now considering an invisible wall over a spike trap.
And then you got to roll a dex save to like.
Grapple
It looked
onto.
like it looked like Zach was like looking up and he was like, I'm gonna write that down.
No, there's
Yeah.
a great adventure mod where you going down into a dungeon and there's this huge pit that spans across, and there's one narrow board that goes all across the entirety of the pit. And of course, every player worth their salt is like, that board is trapped. And so
I would have ran across the board. Straight
so
up,
if-
actually, I was like, I'm just gonna
there
run
is
across the board.
exactly there's a wall of force on either side of the board, and so if they try to run and jump, or if they try to climb over, they just hit the wall and drop straight into the pit. If they just walk on the board,
Love
it's
that.
all good.
Wow, I
so
would have
yeah.
made it.
No,
Nice.
Well, okay, maybe not from him, but yeah.
I don't know.
I was like, my first instinct was like, well, the way's right there. If there's a trap, I'm just gonna hit it anyway. So whatever.
I definitely am going to be doing that now. Also,
Yeah.
spike traps, low-level material, add crawler poison or purple worm poison to the tips of those shitty blades. The piercing's not going to kill the players. The shit on the end's going to.
Yeah.
That needs to be a DM tip. Somebody write that down.
Poison tip stuff.
Yeah, poison tip your stupid traps. That little needle. Oh, it's just a little needle. One piercing damage. Ugh, I can't breathe. Anyways,
I'm poisoned. I can't run away from this boulder. Help me.
that'll do it for our player tip of the podcast. Don't be a dick. You can avoid her smile distracted me. You can avoid Tickitude by utilizing those skills of avoidance. Now, before we close out here, would you guys? I just want to thank you for coming on the show. Would you like to give yourselves one more plug? Tell everyone once again who you are and where they can find you.
Sure.
So I'm Catherine. Generally, you can find me on Instagram as Sparkly and Glitter, all one word. And then if you are interested in chat-based D&D roleplay, I have a server that you can find from there. And I am part of Bite Size Gaming, which I'll let Zach talk about.
Do you want to put your link to your Discord right in the show notes there?
Ooh, that'd be cool, yeah.
As long as you want. I put your name there and your Instagram, which I probably got wrong, but you can you should have edit access. If not, just comment it and I'll put it in there later. Zach?
Awesome.
Yeah, so you can find me most of the time on Facebook at Zach Goins. You can also like us on Facebook and Instagram at Bite Size Gaming. If you search for that, at least it'll turn up. You can check out our podcast wherever fine podcasts are downloaded. And then please go check out Rare Dragons. We are, as of this recording, we'll give the official tally here.
Cool.
We are at almost 400% of our goal. So we're getting close.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about Rare Dragons, and this was a big priority for this project as well, is we really believe and want to commit to, as a company, paying our writers a fair wage.
Yes.
So from the very beginning of this project, each writer is making money off of every amount pledged. So you're not going to pay one person. You're not paying me every time the full amount. You're paying 8 people and making 8 people be able to invest a little bit more time into this hobby. So
I love that. I can
Absolutely.
appreciate that. Yes. Thank you everyone who has
awesome,
already
yeah.
backed and supported. Thank you for doing such an awesome project.
Very cool.
Like I said, I've already super excited for this. I can't wait for it to come out. Is there any plans to do like a print on demand or anything like that, or just PDF?
that's a great question. We did not plan on it, but we are getting a lot of requests, and we had the idea of maybe doing a Captain Hartchild's complete guide to Rare Dragons at some
Okay.
point, and doing a full-on. This was about 54 pages of content. Maybe doing like a full 3 times the size sort of book,
Okay.
and
Compile
putting
it.
out like a huge dragon compendium for folks
That'd be
at
really
some
cool.
point. But
I like that.
that'll be a ways out.
Oh, one of our users just said they kickstarted your project.
Awesome.
Woo!
Thank you so
What is
much. Appreciate it.
Bernie
Thank
Blankenship.
you.
Nice.
Thank you, Bernie.
Thanks, Ferdy.
See,
Thank you.
it wasn't 2 hours. We didn't waste 2 hours of your time completely.
Oh, no, this has been great. I love it. Any
Um,
excuse to come in and talk D&D is
Oh,
It's great.
absolutely.
I hear you. You want to close this out?
Sure. If you have any feedback on our tips and tricks or topics you'd like us to discuss, you
Oh.
move the screen.
I did because I have something to say first.
Sorry.
Please join us on our next episode where we'll be discussing metagaming with inter-party conflict. Gabe
Yeah.
and Jeff will be joining us again.
I
Oh,
miss
yeah.
those guys.
Yeah, I'm super
I
excited.
haven't seen them in a while.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. I talked to him, but
This episode's been in the making for a while.
yeah,
Oh.
I'm pretty sure you said, "Hey, let's do an episode about this." I said, "Sure, set it up," and that was like a year ago.
To be
job.
fair, it took us. It happened eventually.
You know what? Kudos to you. All right, sorry,
My spiel. I get to say it again.
sorry.
If you're okay, you don't care.
No, I don't.
Oh no, say I don't care.
Oh.
I'm glad you don't either. So
I
it works
don't.
out for both
But I
of us.
gotta make look like I'm kind of professional.
Kind of? Are you trying? Okay. If you have any feedback on our tips and tricks or topics you'd like us to discuss, please send them to us. You can email them to us at critacademy@gmail.com, or you can find us on Twitter and Facebook at Critacademy.
If you have any,
What?
wow,
We're just all off our game today. You guys are doing great though.
I
So
have
kudos
an
for you.
at least I have an excuse. You saw
Yeah.
me how I walked in.
You haven't.
Oh no,
barely
I
slept
saw
yet.
that man.
our path of Beelzebul is working.
I love that.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed your experience here at Crit Academy.
That's totally fine. He said, I hope you enjoyed
It's
your
not our
shit
show.
here
It's,
at Crit
we
Academy.
hope you enjoyed your experience here at Crit Academy.
We hope you've enjoyed the experience here at Crit Academy. If you did, you can help others leave the... Wow.
Hey, Catherine, would you like to read that line? I'll bold it for you.
I guess today.
Okay, cool. I closed the show notes. So
Oh
let me just-
no, Zach.
I got it.
Yeah.
Zach's got it.
Listen, no, we can't have you fall over again. We hope you enjoyed your experience here at Crit Academy. If you did, you can help others find the show by leaving a hopefully 5-star review on iTunes, or just send us a message telling us how much you enjoy the show. Also, be sure to give us a like and a share.
Wow, you nailed it on the first try. That
I
Beelzebub
certainly don't
path
do
thing
it.
is really working for you. Isn't
It
it?
does
Apparently
work,
so.
yeah.
We need to find a
Yeah.
new deity, guys.